All right.
You look good.
You look good.
You look good. Alright, what up?
Tell me
Daddy.
what happened earlier this week.
Fuck my life. What happened earlier this week? I had a breakdown. That's what happened this week. I went full bore into video editing world and kicked much ass.
Mm-hmm.
Or thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
And knocked out 3 episodes, but 6 total videos.
For Myth Adventures. Yeah.
Sent it out to a bunch of people. Those people didn't reply. For being real here.
No, they didn't. For me.
Which is, the usual. That's what we expect. But a few of them liked it a lot. A few of them were like, yeah, cool. And 2 of them were like, this is shit.
Yeah, and it was interesting, right? Because the 2 people came from 2 of our own friends. Like, you don't know.
Right, you had one and I had one.
Yeah,
right.
and everyone else from mine was, like, really supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was mad at first, and then I realized that there was a lot of good information in there, even if it was the gist of their emails was kind of based in some misassumptions.
Mm-hmm.
But the information was good, and so while that was good, it kind of knocked me down a peg. So it wasn't unexpected, but it still sucked. And the reason it sucked, I think, more than anything was the realization that I still had a lot more work to do on it. Mm-hmm. We weren't telling the story, right? Mm-hmm. We had the great videos, we had the funny moments, we had the education a little bit, we had the entertainment a lot, but we didn't tell the story. So I made an attempt to start doing some re-edits and hit a wall. And so you and I had a long talk about that, and in the car, much heated, and realized that we had leapfrogged a little bit and gone a little too far with what we were trying to do before really setting the foundation for what it is we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so you dialed us back a bit. And we're like, well, we said we wanted to do A, B, and C, and we kind of jumped to D. So maybe we should go back to A, B, C. And we did, right? I took a day off and cried. No, I didn't cry. I wanted to cry. I took a day off. And then I took sort of a half day off. And in that time, you became a super person. Just like... and started writing like a madwoman, and you got back to what I had told you in the beginning but didn't follow my own words was we need to tell our story.
Yeah. And
we didn't have our story. And you wrote it. I started it, hit the wall with that. It was not my finest hour. But you picked up the mantle and you said, okay, that's cool. So you've gotten as far as you can with it, and let me take it from here. Mm-hmm. And what we realized in that moment, we can come back to this if you want, but what we realized in that moment is you're an incredible storyteller on the page. And I'm an incredible storyteller when I'm talking or visually presenting something, and a lot less on the page. And once it was in your hands, like, wow, it just, our whole entire story, our entire life from January up until now was there on the page. And that was our blueprint, right? You said, this is it. This is our story.
It's down.
This is what we can use to cut and chop and edit and put anywhere we need to tell our story. Because ultimately, that's what we're here to do, is tell our story, right? And we weren't doing that in the most efficient, best, most communicative way. So yeah, that's what we did. And then you spent all of yesterday sitting next to me, helping me get it all up on the website in various ways and forms, and getting our, I'd say at this point, our website's probably 60 to 70% done.
Yeah.
Already in a single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my side of what happened.
I like that. Yeah, it was, I think, a blessing and a curse a little bit, because when I asked for the video feedback, I was really intentional about not telling people much about what we were trying to do.
Right, because you kind of wanted to see what they were able to pull from themselves.
Right, and I think that's a really good thing to bear in mind. I think sometimes it's easy to give too much information and try and explain, and I'd rather show, right?
Well,
and see how far people can
if
get.
I might interject.
Yeah.
I think the benefit of doing the way that you chose to do it is, yes, they watched it without the right context.
No context.
No context, really.
No context.
But if we can get them to like it without the context, right? If we can edit it into a way in which they're still able to enjoy it, adding the context to it with the blogs and the site and everything else just makes it stronger, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get them to like it with the least amount of information, then the more information you're able to add elsewhere.
Yeah. The happier people are. No, I absolutely agree with that. It's like you should try and hobble yourself a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
And
it's balance.
Yeah, and see what you can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can always add supports. Right? But ideally everything you write should or produce should stand on its own.
Well, it should tell a story.
Exactly right. Like a single photo should tell a story.
We weren't telling stories.
A blog post in of itself should tell a story. Unless you're obviously being like, this is a 3-part
And then
thing.
there's a bigger story at play.
There's a bigger overarching story, which is our lives at play. But everything we do, and that's the challenge, right, should in itself be sort of self-contained enough that you could just look at that and be satisfied enough with it that you're not like, this is incomprehensible.
Right.
But not so overtelling that no one's tempted to look at our other stuff. And it can't be, right? It can't just be like...
Well, I think the main complaint, too, with the videos was, it looks great,
Yeah.
it's enjoyable, but it doesn't tell me anything.
Right. People really want content. They either want to be told a story or be told very specific lessons or be given very specific information, right?
Most of them seem to think that it was a travel blog video. Understandably so. We showed them London, right? We didn't show them the botanical gardens. We didn't show them Detroit. We showed them the London trip, which is heavy on travel and the difficulties of working while travel. But without the context and without having all of our voiceovers in there and whatever, we didn't tell a travel blog story, right? So it's not enough that we didn't tell our story, but we didn't tell a travel blog story. Yeah. And that was the question, right? They're like, well, why didn't you show us where you were staying? Why didn't you show us going to the best places to eat? Why didn't you show us this, and this? And it's like, well, because that wasn't the intent of the video. Right. But if that's what you're getting from it, then it means that, we didn't tell the story that we needed to tell so that you understood that it's this is not a travel blog video.
Yeah. Helping people to understand which box we fall into is really important. And it's hardest when you're trying to invent a new box and explain that to people, right? But you also want to be clear who you are and who you are not. This is not this. Know that this is not this. It's more this, right?
I'm going to turn this a little bit.
Okay.
Slide now.
Sorry.
Hey, you.
Hi. The other thing that came up for me while we were talking was, what happened as a result once we started pulling our story and started working on our website. Like, we started having new ideas about what we could offer and how we could offer it, right?
Very true.
And we suddenly started getting a lot more clear in our language on our site about maintaining our personal brand.
Kick-ass videos by kick-ass people. No. Having attitude. Remembering that this company is based in having an attitude, having a, take no shit kind of mantra. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that started to really come through in our writing today, or yesterday. So I'm excited that we seem to be getting really razor sharp, not just about what we do.
We being you.
What we do, how these things interplay and link up together and make sense as a cohesive whole.
Right.
Right? And then how to talk about it in the way that Filthlamb would talk about it.
Right.
Like, that's all starting to become very apparent, and I like that clarity. I think that's really cool. Because again, when you can make things make sense to people, it's much more appealing. People don't understand, you lose them.